What if the real secret to success isn't some big, flashy, heroic moment? What if it's actually the quiet, relentless effort that can take a totally impossible situation and turn it into a huge win? Well, today, that's exactly the kind of powerful story we're going to dive into. This really just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Real courage isn't always about making a big scene. So often, it's just that quiet decision you make to yourself, to just keep going, to try one more time, especially when you're wiped out and feel like nobody's in your corner. I know. That sounds like a pretty weird question, right? But seriously, stick with me here, because the answer reveals this incredibly deep lesson about resilience and grit that applies to pretty much any major challenge you could ever face. So let's start with the kitten. Okay, so our journey here begins with a fable. But this is way more than just a kid's story. It's a really powerful metaphor for beating the odds through just pure, stubborn effort. So meet Whiskers. You can think of him like a lot of ambitious people, maybe entrepreneurs or leaders. He's naturally curious, always up for an adventure. And that spirit, that was his greatest strength, but it was also what was about to lead him into his biggest challenge ever. And there it is, the moment it all goes wrong. One tiny misstep, and suddenly Whiskers is literally in over his head. He's stuck in a situation that is deep, overwhelming, and immediately a fight for his life. And to make things even worse, he is completely alone. Instead of getting a helping hand, he gets laughed at. His so-called friends, maybe a little jealous of his adventurous side, actually seem to enjoy watching him struggle. So he's facing this crisis with no safety net and a whole lot of discouragement from everyone around him. But here's the twist. Whiskers is partially deaf, so all that mocking and laughter, he can't even really hear it. It's like he's insulated from all the negativity. And that allows him to take that initial panic and turn it not into despair, but into this laser-focused, steely determination just to fight. So he's exhausted. He's alone. The situation looks totally hopeless. What on earth could possibly happen next? How does the story end? He just kept paddling. He kept churning and churning and churning. And through that constant, relentless, and what probably felt like a totally pointless action, something absolutely amazing happened. He literally changed his environment. The liquid milk became a solid lump of butter, and that butter became the very platform he needed to climb out and save himself. Okay, so how does this simple fable actually translate into the real world? This is where we get to see the true power of churning when you're facing some serious professional challenges. The connection here is so clear. Drowning in milk, well, that's exactly like drowning in skepticism from everyone around you. The mockery from his friends, that's the criticism you get from bosses, stakeholders, maybe even your own team. A seemingly impossible situation becomes a totally daunting new market. The parallels are just direct and really powerful. All right, so this brings us to our real-world case study. The place is Ahmedabad, India. The time is January 2003. And the challenge? Well, it was absolutely massive. The person who shared this story was given a huge task: build a major insurance business from scratch in a brand new territory. He literally showed up with his stuff packed in his car, ready to take on the city. But the city wasn't exactly rolling out the welcome mat. I mean, just look at this list of obstacles. This was his pot of milk. He was working out of a hotel room, which made the locals super suspicious. They thought he was some fly-by-night operator who was just going to take their money and disappear. He didn't speak the language, he had zero connections, and to top it all off, all he got was harsh criticism instead of any support. The situation felt completely hopeless. But, just like Whiskers, he didn't give up. He just started churning. He put his head down and focused on the only thing he could control: his actions, day in and day out. And slowly but surely, that relentless effort started to change everything. And listen, this was not an overnight success story. Not even close. You can see from the timeline, it took over 2 years of just constant, grinding work. For him, churning meant having endless one-on-one meetings in cafes, personally training every single new recruit, and just being visible in the community every day to build a reputation for being reliable. It was a long, slow churn, but the results? They were undeniable. So here's the first piece of butter he created. He grew his team from just a couple of people to over 2,500 agents. Can you imagine the amount of trust and community he had to build, one person at a time, to pull that off in a place where he started as a total outsider? And here's the financial proof.
a more than 300% increase in premium collections. This wasn't just about growing a team. This was about building a thriving, massively successful business against every single odd, all through the power of that relentless, daily grind.
And finally, the rest of the world started to notice. The same person who was once met with nothing but skepticism and criticism was now getting recognized with prestigious national awards for his incredible turnaround performance. His perseverance paid off, and everyone could see it. So, what's the big takeaway from this story of a kitten and a business leader in Ahmedabad? It really all boils down to one central, powerful idea. Here's the bottom line. It honestly doesn't matter if you're starting from a hotel room or if you feel like you're drowning in a pot of milk. What matters is the consistency of your effort. It's about showing up, doing the work, and focusing only on the things you can actually control. That is how you churn milk into butter. And so that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. What's that seemingly impossible situation you're facing right now? What's the challenge that just feels completely overwhelming? And most importantly, what are the small, consistent actions you can take every single day to start churning your own butter?